Today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score at Wrigley Field on this Wednesday afternoon. The Chicago Cubs 23 and the San Diego Padres 3 as the Cubs sweep the Padres in a 3-game series. Padres have now lost 5 in a row, and the Padres now head to Los Angeles. Well, they will start a 4-game series against the Dodgers tomorrow evening at Chavez Ravine. Hey, player, with epic SoCal views, a full bar and poolside bites, Starlight Pool at Jamul Casino Resort is pool season perfected, and day passes are available. Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place. All right, well, where do we start? I thought Jesse and Tony really nailed it throughout the broadcast and on the post-game wrap, and I'll sort of revisit what they talked about in a moment because I thought they were spot on with how they assessed not just this game, but what the Padres are going through right now with their pitching staff. The Padres, in this 5-game losing skid, have now allowed a grand total in 5 games of 54 runs. 54 runs. They have been outscored 54-17 in this 5-game losing skid. So it has been a really, really, really tough go of it for the San Diego Padres over this 5-game losing skid. The Padres now sitting just 1 game above 500 at 43-42. Before we get into the particulars of this ball game, let's get some of the numbers out of the way because I hate to say it, this was a historic loss at Wrigley Field today. 23 runs allowed, tied a franchise record. The only other time the Padres had allowed 23 runs in a game was all the way back at Wrigley Field in May of 1977. May 17th of 1977, the Padres gave up 23 runs. They tied that franchise record here today with 23 given up on July 1st, 2026. This was the first time in franchise history the Padres had allowed 8 home runs in a game. So that's a new franchise record. Obviously, not a franchise record you want to have. It was also the second time in the last 5 games that the Padres have allowed 15 runs. Remember, the Dodgers scored 15 just the other day at Petco Park. And for Walker Buehler in particular, this was a career high in runs given up. He gave up 9 runs, 3 home runs in just 4 innings of work on what was a really, really tough day for Walker Buehler. Padres fell behind 9-0 after just 4 innings in this game. In fact, after just 3 innings in this game. And it was a tough day for Walker Buehler, who had a sub-2 ERA in the month of June. And July could not have started any differently for Walker Buehler. With what happened today, yes, with the wind blowing out. Yes, with it being hot. Yes, with the ball carrying. But, 23 runs is 23 runs. And 8 home runs hit against you is 8 home runs hit against you, no matter where and what the weather conditions are. Look, in this game in particular, this was once again about a Padres starting pitcher really, really scuffling. And not just not being all that effective, but also not providing much length at all. Once again, the Padres had a starting pitcher unable to complete 5 innings. Buehler only went 4. And again, he gave up a career 9 runs on 7 hits. 3 of those hits were home runs. Walks also an issue. 4 of them given up. And, we'll get into the game recap. Kyle Hart got hit very hard in this game. And Rodolfo Duran gave up 8 runs in the 8th inning. He's a catcher pitching. Can't put anything on him. But, Tony made the point during the post-game wrap, even had Duran, given up none over those 2 innings. The Padres still would have given up 15 runs in this game. So, look, the final score was whatever. It got way, 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 way out of hand. I'm not even that focused on the absurdity of the final score today. It's going to be ugly. It's a game that's going to, live in Padres infamy just because it tied a record for runs given up, and they've never given up more home runs before today in franchise history. I understand that. You're going to remember the day they lost 23-3 at Wrigley Field in Chicago during the midst of a really tough stretch. But there are 2 main thoughts I continue to have coming out of today's game and coming out of this series and now in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. And that is, there's been a lot of talk the last month, even beyond that, and certainly now as we enter July, about what the Padres are going to do at the trade deadline. I got to tell you, I would not be focusing on the trade deadline right now. I think the Padres season very well just in the lead up to the All-Star break. I don't want to say hanging in the balance, but man, oh man, are they facing a tough stretch. And Jesse and Tony really, I thought, nailed this during the post-game wrap. This is daunting coming up, and it's daunting for a few reasons. Number one, you're not playing winning baseball, however you want to slice it. You're in the midst of a 5-game losing streak. Number two, the starting pitching is an enormous issue right now, and there's no way around it. And to be honest, other than trying some other guys, maybe a guy like German Marquez, maybe a guy like Matt Waldron, guys who have been on the IL, you try to get creative again with openers. I'm not totally sure how this gets fixed other than to say guys got to pitch better. I mean, Walker Buehler, and he'd be the first one to tell you, was not very good today. And, you know, we can go down the list of some of the performances as of late. Other than trying some other guys or guys just pitching better, I'm not totally sure what the answer is. So you have a legitimate pitching problem right now where you're falling behind in games, you're not getting long outings at all, and the biggest strength of your team, the bullpen, you are using a ton. I mean, thank goodness. If you want to pull one silver lining out of this game today, it was the fact that the Padres only had to use one real reliever in Kyle Hart. Thank goodness. Remember, you don't have an off day until the All-Star break, and this bullpen is getting used a ton. And the pitching issue is obvious right now. But again, I'm not looking towards the trade deadline right now. I'm looking towards how are you going to get through this run up to just the All-Star break. You've got the Dodgers for 4. You've got the Diamondbacks for 4 at home. You've got the Blue Jays for 3. I mean, this is a very challenging stretch coming up. You already entered today 2 games out of a wild card spot. If you don't start getting better pitching and start winning some ball games, I mean, again, there's a lot of baseball left. Okay, and I'm not trying to get all alarmist on you, but I think it's a fair way to look at it and say, man, oh man, this could get kind of ugly if they don't start pitching better and start playing some winning baseball, however that looks. You have got a really, really, really tough schedule opponent-wise with no off days in sight, and you've got a pitching issue where you're not getting much effectiveness and you're not getting much length, and you are taxing your bullpen. It's not a great recipe. So, you know, again, I just bring up the trade deadline part of it because I hear everybody talking about the deadline. In my mind, it's, hey, just look right in front of you. This is a critical time in the midst of your season right now. I really feel that way with the way the pitching has been, with the strength of the schedule coming up. I mean, this is a critical run-up to the All-Star break, and the Padres, they're going to have to try to figure this out, especially on the pitching side of things. What the answers exactly are, I'm not really sure. Obviously, guys have to perform better. I think that goes without saying. But look, today, again, the absurdity of the final score, 23-3, it is what it is. But the bottom line is this game was decided in the first 4 innings, and it was just another example of a Padres starting pitcher. And this time, a guy that had been your best starting pitcher for a month and a half in Walker Buehler, giving up a career-high 9 runs today. So it's not how you drew it up. The Padres have a major issue right now with their starting pitching. And I think what's a little scary is, when you have an issue starting pitching-wise like this, it can be something that's really hard to overcome when, A, you're not getting effectiveness, you're not really getting the opportunity to play from ahead, and B, when you're just burning through your bullpen as much as they are right now. It is a dangerous way to live as a baseball team, and look, there's a lot of season left. They're right in the mix as far as a wild card spot. All that is true, but I'm looking at this run up to the All-Star break, and there's no time to dwell. There's no time to... they have to find a way to figure it out, or you could very well in the next week or so be under 500 and start to sink in the wild card race, heading into the All-Star break. So not great, obviously. 5 consecutive losses. We'll try to make sense of it as we go along here in our post-game coverage. Again, Padres fall to 43-42. The Cubs improve to 49-38. Padres go 1-5 against the Cubs in the regular season in 2026. They do lose the season series to Chicago, which was not a great result of this series either. And they'll try to, right the ship in L.A. Not an easy place to have to right the ship in, but they're going to have to brush themselves off and, get ready for a big series in L.A. over July 4th weekend. Our post-game highlights coming your way. We'll go back to Chicago, hear from Craig Stammen as well, as, again, the Padres fall 23-3 on this Wednesday afternoon. Our post-game coverage continues after this. Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll head back to Wrigley Field in Chicago, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen in just a moment. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
All right, buckle up here a little bit. Colin Ray worked around a walk in a scoreless first inning. In the bottom half of the inning, Walker Buehler took the mound. Pete Crow Armstrong singled. Alex Bregman walked. A couple of batters later, it was the Cubs' Seiya Suzuki.
Swings here, hits it in the air deep to left center field. Barrels back at the wall, looking up. It is going to go. Long 3-run homer, Seiya Suzuki. And the Cubs have homered again. They'll take a 3-0 lead here in the bottom of the first inning. And for Suzuki, his 100th career home in the major leagues, home run in the major leagues. He becomes only the 4th Japanese-born player to ever reach that milestone number. 3-0 Cubs here in the first.
Not a great start for Walker Buehler, and unfortunately, it did not get a whole lot better. Dansby Swanson hit a solo home run in the bottom of the second. That made it 4-0. Let's go to the third. Padres still trailing 4-zip. Buehler issued a one-out walk. Ian Happ doubled. Michael Conforto was intentionally walked with runners on second and third and 2 men away. Miguel Amaya made the Padres pay for the intentional walk with a 2-run single to make it 6-0. There were still 2 on base for Dansby Swanson.
And Swanson swings, sends it in the air deep to center. Barrels back at the wall. This one is going to go. Dead central for Dansby Swanson. His second of the day. His fourth in the last 2 days. And it is 9-0 in the third. A 3-run home run.
And Dansby Swanson would have one more big swing later in this game. Buehler gave up 9 runs and 3 home runs in just 4 innings. Padres down 9-0 going to the 5th inning. To that point, former Padre Colin Ray had tossed 4 scoreless frames. Sungmoon Song led off for San Diego.
First pitch, Song swings, hits it in the air to deep right. Suzuki is back at the wall. This one, gonna go! Sungmoon Song with his first career home run into the basket at Wrigley Field. Song rounding third. He'll get a low 5 from Bob Henley. And Song's second extra base hit of the day is a special one here on a hot Wednesday at Wrigley.
Now, good for Sungmoon Song, his first major league home run. Later in the inning, Manny Machado hit a 2-out double. Ty France was next.
And Ty swings, lines it into center field. Crow Armstrong coming on. Trying to play it on a hop. It gets behind him. Going to roll all the way to the base of the wall. Manny has scored. France is on his way to third. And now they're going to say it rolled into the base of the wall and got stuck in the ivy. So they're going to send France back to second base, even though he was rounding third, basically, by the time the ball got lost.
Yeah, it was a bad break for Ty France, and the Padres ruled a ground rule double. He did pick up an RBI as Manny scored. It made it 9-2. Felt like the Padres got hurt by the ivy quite a bit in this series. Padres trailed 9-2 going to the bottom half of the 5th inning. Kyle Hart came on to pitch and did not go all that well. Michael Conforto hit a solo home run, then a walk, then a fielder's choice, and an error allowed Dansby Swanson to reach. Pete Crow Armstrong then hit a 3-run home run to right. In the 6th inning, Hart allowed a 2-run shot to Michael Conforto. The Cubs at that point hit 6 home runs. They led 15-3 after 6 innings in this game. Padres saving their relievers. And look, again, 17 games in 17 days. Going up to the All-Star break, got to do what you got to do. Rodolfo Duran came in to pitch the 7th inning. How about this? Rodolfo Duran, a 1-2-3 7th inning. Unfortunately, did not go nearly as well for Duran in the 8th inning. Kevin Alcantara hit an RBI single to make it a 16-3 game. Michael Conforto hit an RBI single to make it a 17-3 game. Miguel Amaya hit an RBI single to make it an 18-3 game. Dansby Swanson then hit a grand slam off Duran to make it 22-3. Dansby Swanson with his first career 3-home run game, and Swanson with a grand slam. He just had a huge day. Michael Busch, a solo home run to make it 23-3. It was an 8-run bottom half of the 8th inning against Rodolfo Duran. Poor Rodolfo Duran is ERA ballooning in that 8th inning. Obviously, not on him in a tough spot there. 8 runs in the 8th inning, and the Padres did get a run in the top of the 8th inning as well. Miguel Andujar, an RBI single to make it a 23-3 game. And that was the final score here today. Final, Cubs 23 and the Padres 3. The Cubs hit 8 home runs. They had 17 hits. And again, it ties a franchise record for runs allowed. The last time the Padres, the only other time before today, the Padres had allowed 23 runs was back on May 17th of 1977 at Wrigley Field against the Chicago Cubs. And the 8 home runs hit by the Cubs today, the most home runs ever allowed in a game by the San Diego Padres. That kind of day on the north side of Chicago. Dansby Swanson, in particular, in this game, How about this? 3 hits, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs. Just a massive, massive day for Dansby Swanson. I'll tell you what, sort of the amazing thing about this game, the Cubs had 23 runs, but they only had 17 hits. And they only had 12 at-bats with runners in scoring position. It is kind of remarkable. Now, they went 8 for 12 in those at-bats, but it's almost remarkable they only had 12 at-bats, with 23 runs on the board. Obviously, a very tough, frustrating day for the Padres. They get swept in a 3-game series. Padres have lost 5 in a row. Padres dropping to just a single game above 500 now at 43-42. Cubs have won 5 in a row. They improved to 49-38. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Still more to do on our post-game coverage. A tough afternoon in Chicago today for the Padres. We'll hear from the Padre manager right after this. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, Cubs 23 and the Padres 3. And yes, you heard that right. Cubs 23 runs on 17 hits. The Padres allowing a franchise record 8 home runs. The Padres allowing 15 runs for the second time in this 5-game losing skid. Padres have been outscored in this 5-game skid 54-17. As we continue to wrap it up and try to help you through it, I suppose we'll go back to Chicago, hear from Craig Stammen in just a moment. So stay tuned for that. Padres dropping to 1 game above 500 at 43-42. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973, phone number to call. As always, 833-288 888-0973. May squeeze in a phone call or two a little bit later before we flip things over to today's edition of Gwynn and Chris. It'll be Chris Ello, Matt Scraby with you. They are standing by, and they will come your way towards the very top of the hour. You know, I hate to use terminology like this because it does sound, how do I put it, awfully serious in a sports sense. But I guess what you got to hope, and this goes back to the opening segment and what we discussed as far as you could be looking at, and there's a lot of baseball left to play. Don't get me wrong, okay? There's a lot of baseball left. It is July 1st. It's not early by any means. You're in the second half of the season mathematically, but you got 3 months left of a baseball season. However, it is, I don't think, crazy to feel like this is just an incredibly important stretch the Padres have. Their next 11 games, essentially, you got 4 in LA, 4 against the Diamondbacks at home, 3 against the Blue Jays, 11 games up until the All-Star break against really good competition. I understand the Blue Jays have not had a great year, but that's a team with a lot of talent. Went to the World Series a year ago, came very close to winning the World Series a year ago. I think the point is, because of the Padres starting pitching issues right now and how it is affecting pretty much every other aspect of the team, in the sense of the offense is not really being given a chance right now, even though they've played much, much better the last, 20 games or so. Well, you know, when you're pitching like this, I hate to say it, you know, the offense, it doesn't matter a whole lot, right? When you're having pitching issues like the Padres are right now. But in the bigger sense of this run up to the All-Star break, look, I just think with the state of the wild card race, you've got a lot of teams hovering around those final, 2 spots, all the spots really. You've got very tough opponents coming up. 4 in LA. Diamondbacks are good, right? They're in the wild card race. 4 against them, 3 against the Blue Jays. I hate to say it, I feel like you're looking at a situation where if you don't start playing better, you don't start getting better pitching, significantly better pitching, it feels like a stretch that could spiral. It does. I mean, it has that kind of feel to it. I'm not saying it's going to. I hope it doesn't. But I think that is the seriousness of the situation right now here on July 1st for the San Diego Padres. I do. I think this is a very serious, maybe that's the right word, serious part of their schedule for all the reasons we just mentioned. And I suppose the hope is, and I talked about terminology, and I don't like this term that much, but I'm going to use it. I guess you hope that today, losing 23-3 in Chicago, you kind of hope it's rock bottom for this stretch and, quite frankly, for the season. You hope it's rock bottom. And I don't like saying rock bottom, but you hope it is, because if it's not, then I think you may have some real issues. But we'll see if the Padres can turn this thing around. It doesn't take a whole lot as far as what they need. What they need is better starting pitching. You get that, you're going to win some baseball games. But because of the issues with the pitching, especially starting-wise over the course of the last 5 games, and really going back to before that, we talked about the numbers pregame, and I'll get into them again in a little bit. It's beyond that. It's the last couple of weeks now. And again, what the answers are, I think is a little unclear. So with all that said, Padres obviously going through a tough stretch. They've lost 5 in a row. They lose 23-3 to the Chicago Cubs on this Wednesday afternoon on a sunny, windy day at Wrigley Field. Let's go back to the north side of Chicago and hear some post-game reaction from Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in a manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
He's having to go low.
Yeah, you just move on from it. That's the only thing you can do. It's, it only counts as one, and we got to remember that. And, again, it's 0-1, same as what we did the first game of the series where we got walked off. Unfortunately, it's in a stretch of some tough games and, for us, some tough losses.
What can you say about the way that this is going? I mean, there's certain plays that we haven't seen you guys make or not make before. The offense been okay, but like starting pitching, I mean, it just seems like things are just going as poorly as they have.
Yeah, that's accurate. Yeah, they're going as poorly as they can right now. we got to find a way, to dig deep, dig our way out of that hole. I think there's some grit on this team, and we've got to dig deep for that. Still believe in ourselves, stay positive enough that we will get out of it. If we get negative, we turn on each other, we start pointing fingers, that's when it'll turn into disaster. And I'm not going to be doing that.
Did a couple breaking balls in the wrong place just lead to a disaster for Walker today?
Yeah. Obviously, we've seen the wind blowing out last 3 days. Tough day to pitch. Hot and humid, and just wasn't able to execute his pitches like he has in this past month.
When the weather's like this at Wrigley, I know we've talked about it all 3 days now. How difficult, where does it rank almost in the grand scheme of stadiums to pitch in when Wrigley is playing the way it has these 3 days?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know. It's just tough. There's no other way to describe it. I think it's been well documented when the wind blows out here that these games can get a little out of hand. And today was a game that got out of hand.
And then Sung had his first home run. I know it was, situationally not the best, but cool moment for him. What did you make of that?
Yeah, it was, he's been trending in the right direction here. He's gotten a little bit more playing time. He, made a lot of great swings today. We know how great he is on defense. I think playing third base made him feel a little bit more comfortable, but, he'll always remember his first home run, and it was in Wrigley Field.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 23-3 loss to the Chicago Cubs on this Wednesday. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we continue to wrap this one up. Look, if you're looking for something to smile about today, it would be the Sung Moon Song. First major league home run came in this game, had a double as well, so that was good to see for Sung Moon Song. Aside from that, there was not a whole lot of good for the Padres in this game. As you know, to dive into Walker Buehler just a bit more, what was tough today for Walker, a couple of things. Number one, he had been so good in the lead up to this, right? And it wasn't an easy day to pitch. This whole series, it was not an easy climate to pitch in. The wind's blowing out. It's warm at Wrigley. The ball's carrying. And certainly that was a part of what we saw the last couple of days as far as the home runs given up. The Padres gave up a grand total of, it ended up being a grand total of 13 in a span of 2 games. Yeah, that's not good. 13, yes, in 2 games. The wind played a factor. I don't know how much of a factor it really played, maybe on a ball or 2. I'd have to really go analyze it, but some of those balls were pretty crushed. So, I don't think it made a huge difference, but not an easy place to pitch. Although, Colin Ray, again, and I think Craig would say this, and I think he did say this at some point during the series, look, Cubs got to pitch there too. And a guy like Colin Ray ended up going 5 innings and giving up 2 runs today. Did give up a home run, but only gave up 2 runs, and Buehler gave up 9 in 4 innings. So both teams are pitching at the same place. For Buehler today, what was tough was that he just made mistakes, and mistakes he has not made lately at all. I mean, the first 2 home runs he gave up, the one to Suzuki in the first inning, the one to Swanson in the second, didn't get this game off on the right foot at all. They were just hangers. They were off-speed hangers. I think the pitch to Suzuki was a sweeper. I think the pitch to Swanson was a slider, off-speed pitches. They were hangers, and they were mistakes by Walker, and the Cubs punished them, and it ended up being just a super tough day for Walker Buehler. Now, we've talked a lot about how this looks moving forward, and look, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Padres address this moving forward with this starting rotation, and we'll preview the game tomorrow. I'll tell you about who the Dodgers are throwing tomorrow in a little bit. But tomorrow's turn in the rotation would be Randy Vasquez. Now, Randy is coming off, obviously, a really tough outing the other day against these LA Dodgers. I got to tell you, I'm kind of fascinated to see what the Padres do. Is it just going to be Randy there tomorrow, either starting the game or after an opener, or the Padres going to get more creative than that? I don't know the answer to that, but you would think it's getting to a point with this rotation where maybe all options are on the table as far as, at some point in this series, you do have another guy come up that's been on the IL, whether it's a Marquez or a Matt Waldron, and see if they can be, more effective. They, had JP Sears come up the other day and make the good start in against Atlanta. It didn't work out yesterday. Nearly the same against the Cubs, but Padres have not announced their rotation for that Dodgers series, and I think you do have to wonder kind of what the wheels are that are currently in motion as they try to figure out how to get outs and get more effectiveness and get length. And again, unfortunately, we said it pregame. One of my keys to the game was walk this way, and it was focused on the Padres needing a big start today for Walker Buehler, not just in effectiveness, but also length. And unfortunately, the Padres didn't get either of those things out of Walker today. We said this note in that key to the game, and I'll include today's stats in it. Today was the 10th time in the past 14 games a Padres starting pitcher has not completed 5 innings. And I told you earlier, Padres starting pitchers in that 13-game span entering today, they had a 5.5 ERA. And the ERA now, I mean, for their pitching staff in general in this 5-game losing streak, it was over 9 coming in 4 games. I can only imagine what it is now after giving up a grand total of 22 earned runs in this game today. So they needed a big start from Walker. Unfortunately, they couldn't get it. With that said, if you're looking up point fingers of blame at people right now, I don't think Walker Buehler is the top of the list because he's been very, very good, but no doubt about it, a very tough one here today. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, we'll get into some of our daily awards. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way as well. If you want to get a phone call in, we'll try to squeeze in a phone call or two before we go. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, the phone number to call. And, look, I suppose just in my head now thinking, maybe Johnny Burrito's another option, to come up and get some innings. Again, I'm just speculating here and thinking out loud. I don't know, but obviously the Padres have some working out to do as far as their pitching right now. Final score, 23-3. Cubs win it today at Wrigley Field. Our postgame coverage continues after these words. Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score, Cubs 23 and the Padres 3. As we continue to wrap this one up, Padres get swept in Chicago, and they have lost 5 in a row as they now head to L.A. for the start of a 4-game series tomorrow. We'll talk more about that game coming up in just a little bit. Phone number 833-288-0973. I'm going to take a couple of phone calls in this segment before we ultimately wrap things up here. I had somebody text me. I said, you got to be crazy to take phone calls after this one. Well, call me crazy. We're taking some calls. I'm not shying away. I can handle it. I can be emotional support. I can at least do that. All right, first, let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Well, relief pitcher of the game, you know me. I try to keep it on the Padres side of things when I can. Unfortunately, today, I don't think that's much of an option because as far as relievers for the Padres, you had Hart, who gave up 3 home runs. And Duran, well, you know, he does not qualify for relief pitcher of the game. I think I have before in the past given a relief pitcher of the game in my time doing this show to a Padres position player. I think I've done it. Today doesn't really feel like the day. Doesn't feel like the day. So we're going to have to go on the Cubs side of things, unfortunately. We'll give it to Jordan Wicks, the left-hander who was good out of the Cubs bullpen. Hey, you know, in their situation, they're trying to get through the ball game, not having to use too many bullpen arms when you're up by as many as they were up. He goes 3 innings, 1 run given up. Very good out of the Cubs bullpen for Craig Counsell. Let's tell you about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the heart of the order, presented by Palomar Health Medical Group.
Heart of the order here today, 3, 4, 5 spots. Machado, France, and Merrill. Manny did have a double and a run scored in this game. Ty France had 2 hits and a double. Jackson Merrill 0 for 2 in this game. He would actually get replaced later on by Samad Taylor as the score got out of hand. He did walk in this game as well, did Jackson Merrill. So that's a quick look at the Padres' heart of the order. All right, let's squeeze in a few phone calls here. Again, I don't promise to have all the answers for you, but I can provide a little, perspective and I suppose emotional support on what was a very tough day for the Padres. They fall 23-3 at Wrigley Field today. Let's begin with Lugo calling in. Lugo, you're on the Padres Radio Network on the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Go ahead.
Sam, thanks for taking my call. I just got a text from a friend who said I didn't know football season had started. Okay, you know what I want to talk about is I think our hello?
Yeah, we got you, Luca.
Okay, yeah, sorry. I think our pitching woes aren't like a mystery. I think if we just take a closer look, you look at the people we've signed. King, he was a reliever for New York. Vasquez was a reliever for New York. Giolito out of surgery. Canning out of surgery. Buehler, elbow, shoulder surgery. I think Preller's putting together, I hate to say this, a Frankenstein makeshift rotation, and he needs to get serious about the pitchers that he's bringing to San Diego.
Well, look, I do, and Lugo, appreciate the phone call. I want to split up some of the names you mentioned there because I do think you put, King and Vasquez in a very different category than some of the other names you mentioned as far as the way they were acquired. I mean, remember, King and Vasquez, they were part of the Soto deal. You got Higashioka, you got Dylan Thorpe, who you flipped into Dylan Cease. I mean, today is not the day for me to relitigate the Juan Soto trade. Okay, today is not the day, but because who cares? But I will say, actually, I think you look back on it and the Padres did quite well with the way it kind of all worked out. But let me focus on the other names you mentioned, like Giolito and Canning and Buehler. Look, I do think that was a function of a situation, as I think we all know. The Padres weren't in a position where it was looking like they were gonna, spend a ton of money this offseason. And they, AJ had to maneuver within the constraints that he had to maneuver in. And look, AJ has done a very good job in a lot of cases of finding, whether it be position players or starting pitching, finding guys sort of like on the fringes and getting a lot out of them. And there's multiple seasons of examples of this. Michael Wacha ring a bell, Seth Lugo ring a bell. I mean, there have been a lot of good examples of it. There have also been a lot of good examples of AJ bringing in position players, Ty France, right? Gavin Sheets. I mean, I think AJ's track record actually when it comes to bringing these kinds of guys in is actually really good, but you're not always going to hit. And this time around so far, Giolito has been great. Canning has been great. Now, Buehler, and again, I want to split these guys up when you talk about him. Buehler has actually been a huge success for this team. Today, notwithstanding, okay? Today was obviously not. But Buehler's been terrific. He's been this team's most consistent starting pitcher for a month and a half. So I don't want to include him in the conversation. As far as the Frankenstein element, I think you're talking about the injuries. Guys have injuries. Buehler's name a starting pitcher that has not had an injury. I mean, many of them do, right? Giolito and Canning, and much like most guys. So, and obviously, look, in the big picture, a big part of this and the pitching woes is the fact that you're missing Nick Pivetta, who was your best starting pitcher last year, and Joe Musgrove hasn't yet returned on his way back from Tommy John. Look, at the start of the year at spring training, you were expecting those guys to be making starts pretty much every 5 days. And unfortunately, no fault of their own, they're hurt. Has not been the case, and that make no doubt about it. That's a big part of what's going on in the big picture and these pitching woes. Let's go to Dan calling in. Dan, you're on the Padres Radio Network on this Wednesday afternoon. Welcome in.
Hey, Sammy.
Hey.
I just want to start this off with a little levity. Years ago, when the Mets were terrible, they scored 23 runs on a day like today when the wind was blowing out. And the question was, that's great, but did they win? So
that's good, Dan. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they did. Well, here's the thing. Marquez and Waldron are out on rehab assignments.
Yeah.
And I think their time on the rehab assignment is almost up. So they have to either be activated or DFA'd.
Yeah.
And also, what's the story? Well, they can't be optioned. So what's the story with Campusano? I mean, there hasn't been an update on the Padres website since June the 12th.
Yeah, Dan, just to give you the update and appreciate the phone call. Campy started a rehab assignment yesterday at AAA, actually hit a home run in the game. I've not looked to see yet if he's back in the lineup today, but he is on the rehab assignment. Look, that's good news, no doubt about it. The Padres could use what Luis Campusano brought to that catching position early in the year, no doubt, especially from an offensive standpoint. So, Dan, there is good news there. Look, as far as Marquez and Waldron, their options. I have to look a little bit harder to see when those guys line up exactly. I'm not going to predict right now when they could slot in, but with the way things are going pitching-wise, nothing would surprise me as far as those guys getting activated from the IL, and you see, can those guys eat up more innings, be more effective? I think that would be a very fair and logical thing for the Padres to try, right? I haven't, really dove in totally, and it's, a little hard when a guy's on a rehab and still coming back to, understand where you could slot him in and who that'll affect and things like that. But I will say it's going to be interesting to see this series in LA, how they line up their pitchers. And, are we going to see a Marquez at some point? Are we going to see a Waldron at some point? Are the Padres going to go get Johnny Burrito and bring him back up at some point just to try to do something else and see if you can catch a little lightning in the bottle? Because that's kind of what you need right now. So, Dan, we shall see. All right, let's step aside here. When we return, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, wrap things up, get you ready for the series opener tomorrow in L.A. Final score at Wrigley today, Cubs 23 and the Padres 3 on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. The final score, Cubs 23, Padres 3. As the Cubs sweep this 3-game series, Padres have dropped 5 in a row. We flip things over to today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming your way in just a handful of minutes. Chris Ello, Matt Scraby standing by. I can see them right now. They are ready to go. They are ruminating on what they're going to give you on the San Diego Sports Talk airwaves. I can't wait to hear it. But first, let's give you a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
All right, let's take a look at the finals today. The Nationals beat the Red Sox 10-2 at Fenway earlier. James Wood hitting his 22nd home run of the year in that one. Tigers beat the Yankees again 6-2 in 11 innings in the Bronx. The Tigers scoring 4 runs in the top half of the 11th inning. The New York Yankees have now lost 7 in a row. Guardians beat the Rangers 9-4 in Cleveland. Austin Hedges, David Fry hit home runs in that game for the Guards. The Orioles beat the White Sox 6-1 in Baltimore today. Tyler O'Neill home run in that game for the Orioles. We do have one game going on right now. The Blue Jays beating up on the Mets 9-2. That game in the 9th inning in Toronto. Games coming up a little bit later. Pirates and the Phillies at 3:40 in Philadelphia. Dynamite pitching matchup there. Paul Skeens against Zach Wheeler. Cardinals and the Braves in Atlanta at 4:15. Rays and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Reds and the Brewers in Milwaukee at 5 p.m. Twins and the Astros in Houston at 5:10. Marlins and the Rockies in Colorado at 5:40. Dodgers and the A's in Sacramento at 6:40. Giants and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 6:40. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Wednesday. Padres playing the day game, so plenty of games coming up later on this evening. Let's hear today's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
First pitch, Song swings, hits it in the air to deep right. Suzuki is back at the wall. This one, gonna go! Sung Moon Song with his first career home run into the basket at Wrigley Field. Song grounding third. He'll get a low 5 from Bob Henley. And Song's second extra base hit of the day is a special one here at Wrigley.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Take that. Hamby and I joking during the commercial break. That's our stand here on the Padres Radio Network. We're not taking one of those 23 runs the Cubs scored. We're giving you Sung Moon Song for our play of the game. Sung Moon Song's first major league home run. You know, when the opposing team is 23 runs and 8 home runs, number one, what are you going to say the play of the game is? Number one. And number two, you know what? Let's give you a little positivity here at the end. Sung Moon Song, the home run. That is our play of the game on the Padres Radio Network. The first major league home run for Song, one of 2 extra base hits that Sung Moon Song had today, playing third base for the Padres in this one. All right, taking a look ahead to tomorrow. Padres will try to get things pointed in the right direction. Not an easy place to do it. Up in L.A., Game 1 of a 4-game series at Dodger Stadium tomorrow against the L.A. Dodgers. First pitch tomorrow, 7:10 p.m. We'll be live from Dodger Stadium at 6:10 with our pregame coverage. The pitching matchup tomorrow, Padres have not yet announced their starter for tomorrow. It would be Randy Vasquez's turn in the rotation. Remember, the Padres used an opener for him last time out against the Dodgers, and the outing didn't go particularly well for Randy, but it would be Randy's turn. But again, Padres have not announced who will start tomorrow's game. When we know, I'm sure we'll pass it along here on 97.3 The Fan. As far as the Dodgers, they will send right-hander Roki Sasaki to the mound tomorrow. So the Padres facing the young right-hander for the Dodgers once again in the series opener. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game coverage there as well. A look at the final totals today for the Cubs: 23 runs, 17 hits, no errors. They left on 2. For the Padres, 3 runs, 11 hits, 1 error. They left on 11. Winning pitcher today, Colin Ray, who improves to 6-5. Losing pitcher was Walker Buehler, who drops to 5-4. And the save goes to Jordan Wicks, who picks up his second save of the season. Pretty nice job there for Wicks, getting a save in a game that you won by 20 runs. Second save of the year for Jordan Wicks. He did go 3 innings, give up 1 run today out of the Cubs pen. Time of game, 2 hours, 37 minutes, and the crowd at Wrigley Field on this Wednesday afternoon, 37,311. Once again, first pitch tomorrow in LA, 7:10 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6:10. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Jeff Hamby, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from our San Diego studios. Again, the final score today, the Chicago Cubs 23 and the San Diego Padres 3. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming up next right here on 97.3 The Fan.